Hello, this is Joe Walensky, and I am the program manager for ConveyUX, and I'm talking with several of the speakers who will be at the conference coming up in January in Seattle. And today I'm talking with Sarah Rice. Hello, Sarah.
Hi there. How you doing? Good to see
Everything's
everybody.
hello, and thanks for doing this. Where are you talking to us from today?
My pleasure. I am located in San Jose, California, where the weather is nice and lovely. Yeah, been here for a long time. I can just tell you a little bit about myself. I have been in the information architecture slash user experience world for a number of years. I have a background in library and information science, and kind of got out of school right when the internet was exploding, like a lot of people I've talked to, and really got interested in like making websites and making them understandable for people and organizing lots of really complex information online. And and that kind of grew and grew into, as information architecture kind of came on the scene, and then that kind of worked its way into interaction design, and then user experience seems to be like the word that we're using these days, which makes a lot of sense. It's a great kind of umbrella term for a lot of the stuff that I do, and others in the space seem to work on. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in the world of consulting. Right when I got out of school, somebody came up to me and said, "I really want to work with you, but I only work with consultants." And so I was like, "Great, I'll be a consultant." And started out that way, and found out that it really works. It works well for me to go in and work on a specific project and kind
Um,
of see it through, and then
and
work on another project.
And so, what does that mean in your case? What are the types of like daily, weekly activities that you'll frequently be involved in on your projects?
Well, I like kind of longer term projects, and so a couple of examples are, for example, eBay came to me at one point and said, our help content is such a mess, and we don't know what to do with it, and it's grown organically over the last couple of years, and different people in different parts of the organization um, have just kind of like been generating a lot of this content, and it's kind of big and messy, and nobody can find anything. And so I came in and do what we do. So did some research to kind of understand who the audience was, and then put together some proposals of like, here's how we could structure things. And so, like on a weekly basis, following a project plan, whatever that might be. And I work from home a lot, but also to kind of, depending on where my clients are, I'll travel into the office a couple days of the week. And usually a lot of it is, people just are like, I'm not sure where to go from here. And so trying to figure out, well, here's what we have, and here's our ultimate goal, and how do we get there. So kind of spending time in meetings talking with them about that. Or I really enjoy doing the research part of things, because I get to know the audience pretty well, and put some models together. I like to do mental model research, and so putting some different models together, and then communicating those throughout the organization. I really Communication is so incredibly important, as we all know. It's one thing to do the work, but it's another thing to let other people know, what is it that we found, what does that mean, how does that impact everybody else in the organization. Because for me, it's really important that, whatever it is that we do, whatever it is that we find, that we make it actionable for other people. Because like, we're part of a bigger process. So
Well, with all the different things that you're involved in, are there any new areas that you've been studying? Any new design thinking? Any new processes or techniques that you've been dealing with lately?
yes, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because it just so happens I go to the Information Architecture Summit every year. So, conference that I go to and have been going to for a while. And the last couple of years that I'd gone, it was helpful to go, and there were some areas, some talks that were kind of inspirational. But I was kind of starting to wonder, is there more to the work that I do? Is there, it just seems like I had been hearing the same things over and over, or, I wondered if I had reached the ceiling of what I do in my profession, and wondered if I needed to go somewhere else. And I actually blogged about that a couple of times. And then I went to this last architecture summit that was in San Diego, and they were talking about reframing information architecture. And I was like, well, what does that mean exactly? And when I heard people talking about it, I got a little more excited because, as you know, and as everybody knows, in user experience, we kind of we learned our craft as the internet kind of grew up. And so as the internet has matured, that's kind of how we saw the need for information architecture and user experience. And that's kind of how it got popular. And now one of the things that we're learning is that, or some people may have known it all along, is that there's such a need for it both online as well as offline. And because of all the different devices and different platforms and everything, that what we do is bleeding off of the screen. And so, like service design has become more popular, just trying to figure out how do we weave all the different experiences together in order to make things more seamless and more understandable, and to decrease the cognitive load and things like that. So the idea of reframing information architecture is just to kind of take it out of just the website, instead of just talking about, well, my website navigation or my website taxonomy or, things like that, and to talk more about wayfinding and placemaking, and how do we do that offline? And then how do we do that as people move from offline to online? And how do we do that, if they go into the store but also have their app, and making things more consistent. And there was just something about how it was presented that just really it got me really excited to kind of go, wow, there's more to do in this field, and I don't have to go elsewhere to kind of to stay really interested and engaged. And so I started kind of getting involved and trying to figure out, well, they've already talked about just what does it mean to reframe information architecture. And then last year was well, if we're reframing information architecture, how do we teach it to others? And so there was teaching information architecture. And then after that, we were kind of thinking of, okay, well, what's next? And then, so then the next logical thing is, how can we critique the work that we do? Something beyond just my opinion. Oh, this is good work. Or, Joe, you might look at this and go, oh, this is really good work. But, what isn't some sort of objective way to critique the work that we do? And, and I think that we've already started by, just doing basic usability on whatever experiences that we have going on. Can people use things? Can they complete a task? Can they, read the label? Some of those tactical things.
And is that where things start to tie into your session presentation? The title of your talk is Objective Measures for Evaluating UX Frameworks.
Yes, that's it exactly. Is just really trying to understand. Instead of my opinion or your opinion or somebody else's opinion on, oh, this is good or this is not good. And even going beyond, well, we know this is good because this is the process that I use to do this thing. It's we should be able to look at any experience, and I'll talk about UX frameworks and instead of just UX, just the experience in general. I'll talk about that next. But just being able to, regardless of how it was created or who did it, to be able to look at something and go, oh, this is solid for these 5 reasons, and to be able to kind of do that objectively. I think there's area for growth, and to kind of better understand that. And I specifically wanted to work on how to evaluate UX frameworks, because that talks more about kind of my area of interest, which is information architecture. And so it's not just about complex information. It's just about within any user experience, there's some sort of underlying framework. When I deal with talking about what is information architecture, I usually approach it as, are we building a house, a hotel, or a hospital? Because figuring out the framework of what it is that we're doing is going to influence all the subsequent work that we do. And so within user experience, it's like, do we want to teach somebody? Do we want to sell something? Do we want to, what does that underlying framework look like? And then how do we evaluate that? It's like, if we know what the goal is, and we put the basic framework together and then build on that, does the framework work? And does it work, offline as well as online? And does it work across multiple devices and over time, and is it extensible, and all those things? So I think there's a lot to kind of explore about how do we do that objectively, it's like we all know how to do it subjectively, I think. I think we all know to have our own opinion, and it's like if we get 3 people in a room, there's always 5 opinions. We all know that. And so it's trying to figure out how to do that more objectively. So that's going to be what I'll be talking about in January.
All right, great. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk about this with me, and we'll see you in Seattle in just a few weeks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.